Hello there, Padawan learners, Jedi Masters, and lore legends. Welcome to the Bendu Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars.
Welcome everyone to the Bendu Podcast, where we seek balance in the Force. We got Crawler. No Nate tonight is what I meant to say. We got Crawler. We got Josh, who just became one with the Force.
Picking his camera incorrectly.
What up? What up?
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Good
So,
Race Mom.
dude, there's something hilarious. I just tagged you on Twitter about Ray's mom. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. First, guys, I just want to say welcome to our podcast. If you've never heard us before, we talk about Star Wars. That's all we talk about. We talk about video games. We talk about movies, TV shows, things like that. We have a Star Wars only Discord that's in the description. You can jump in and talk Star Wars with us, talk lore, talk Battlefront 2, whatever you want to talk, man, and just hang out with us. We do also have a Patreon now. So if you do enjoy the content, we have some cool stuff that we give our patrons after every episode. So go check that out. It's also in the description below. But yeah, we're ready to talk some Kenobi. There are going to be spoilers, of course. We run about a week behind. So we expect you guys to, if you're watching this, you're probably a Star Wars fan and you're probably watching Kenobi. So, but guys,
we're hoping you're watching. I mean, new episode comes out here in a couple hours, so yeah, you should have been caught up on it.
You gotta be caught up. How's it going? What you been doing? You've been watching Kenobi, Josh. I'm assuming you're watching it right now.
I am. Yeah, I'm just about we got. Let's keep this going for another 40 minutes.
The episode was 38 minutes. So that shows how much you paid attention.
Oh dang, dude!
Wait, Are you complimenting me or insulting me?
I don't know. I hope you'd already started it, and you had less than 40 minutes to go.
One of them. Hey, check this out. I had to show this because Josh always talks about Ray's mom. We actually get to know who Ray's mom's name is. Like they tell us in this new book. Like it goes in and look, there's Ray's mom. There it is.
What?
It's Ray's mom. They don't spoil it. So this article, I'll throw it in the chat here, but they don't spoil it, but apparently it's a big reveal and it's really, really interesting. So
Padme Palpatine.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's probably what it is. Something like that.
I wish I could make a shirt of just Crawler shaking his head no, because it's my favorite thing that I see all the time.
It's just like, what are you even talking about, man? Yeah, exactly. But there's Ray's mom. They're going to be in the new what is it called? Shadow of the Sith book that comes out on the 28th this month. So
that's the one we talked about a few months ago, right? With Lando and Luke going and
yeah, that was the one where it gives the preview of basically what happened with Luke when he gets transported to Exegol by the Force or whatever, and he meets Anakin. It's like the little preview, Anakin's Force ghost that materializes. Apparently physical form. So it's going to be really interesting, man. I'm kind of excited to read it.
Is it right before 7?
I think so. It's all before 7. So it's like, I don't know if it's like right before 7.
I would say how long had Luke been in self-isolation before 7?
That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. I want to know if this gets him there, because I'm sorry, but 7 starts out so corny. Like, we've lost Luke and we're going to find a map to him. It's just like, what in the 1980s movie are we watching right now? Right. And then, so I'm more curious on like, when did he take off and what's that like?
It's
everything leading up to it.
2 decades after the Battle of Endor. So apparently quite a while. So 20 years, I guess.
Yeah.
So
you think Grogu's mentioned in this book?
It'll be interesting because it could fit the timeline, right?
I mean, everything could fit the timeline for Grogu because he was born the same year as Anakin. So
yeah,
it's convenient that way.
Yeah. So a couple other things before we jump into Kenobi that I wanted to share, because this is really, I think, really interesting that we got to spend a little time talking about. I'm going to pull it up here, and I forgive me, I don't know how to say his name, but basically, the guy that was in
Taika is his first name.
Yeah. What's interesting about this headline is he's going to get to make a Star Wars movie, which a lot of us knew about, and things like that. He played IG-88 in The Mandalorian, or IG-11. Sorry, and
Wow.
he's
and directed.
I thought you knew your lore.
I don't know lore. I'm so bad. But what's interesting is they're going away from all these characters. Like, there's going to be brand new characters, brand new story, which I'm kind of excited about. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready for like some new story, kind of like how The Mandalorian had new story. So what do you guys, are you excited about this? What do you think about it?
I mean, his quotes in this article, because I think I saw bits and pieces of this article earlier this week, and he talks about like not needing to see, like, here, great, that's the blueprints of the Millennium Falcon, like Chewbacca's grandmother. He wants to move away from the established and do something new. And the way that he's created characters in his other movies, what he's done with Marvel properties where it's already existed has been good. But like, you look at his original stuff with like What Lies in the Shadows and Our Flag Means Death, and he wrote, I think he wrote Jojo Rabbit and directed and starred in it. Like, he's done great stuff with original content that he's written, and I think part of his deal with this movie is that he gets to write it as well. So I'm excited for him to take a small piece of this galaxy far, far away and show us something that's not centered around the Skywalker family.
Yeah, it says it right here in this article. I love the way he says this. He says, look, I think for the Star Wars universe to expand, it has to expand. Like, it's got to get away from Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie. It's not to say that we don't love these characters, but I think it is time. Look what The Mandalorian did for the fan base. Like, everyone went nuts and loved The Mandalorian.
But I think you look at the sequel trilogy, and it was just a rehash. Like, Episode 7 was just a rehash of 4, poorly executed. I feel like it was rushed. It was poor pacing. It didn't have enough setup. It was set up in books, like 2 books, I think, beforehand, which set up the whole resistance and why that was all the way it was, which the opening crawl did a very poor job describing. And then,
what do you mean? Let's find a map so we can find Luke. That makes sense.
The fact that we have a resistance when the New Republic is established is very confusing, but it's because the New Republic didn't want to grant Akbar and Leia, they didn't believe that the First Order existed. So it was set up in books, but it wasn't well described at all. Yeah. And then you look at like having Harrison Ford come back. He didn't want to really come back, but the only way he would come back is if they killed off his character. Like, it's just these characters that we've had, but like, it was done too much, I feel like. And so, and then when you have classic characters conflicting with new characters, then people don't want to embrace the new characters as much. The amount of hate that John Boyega and I forget what's her name that played Rose, like, some of those characters just got so much hate from the fan base, which again is happening again in Kenobi and some of this other stuff, which toxicity amongst the fan base is bad in general. But if you can break clean, then hopefully newer characters can be embraced more wholeheartedly.
Yeah, man. It's can we talk about that for a little bit? Kind of like, what is the deal with people? Like, I've seen so much stuff on like TikTok and YouTube and Twitter of people just hating on Kenobi. I mean, Josh, I know you said like you like some things, like you said, it just looks too polished. How are you feeling so far, man? Are you feeling kind of some of those things? Are you just not enjoying it, or what?
No, I think it's great. Like I just wish it looked more like Game of Thrones. That's like my only gripe. Other than that, I'm just losing myself in it. Like it's freaking Star Wars, right? Like as long as it can tell somewhat of a decent story, Rian Johnson, then it's still gonna be fun to watch because it's Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
We just give us and Filoni's not gonna. He's like in Filoni we trust, right? So as long as he is the in between Kennedy and those of us that actually like Star Wars, we're gonna be fine.
Zing!
You know, like it's gonna be fine. Like I went and saw Jurassic World last night.
I've heard that's gotten mixed reviews.
It's completely mixed because if you are sitting there watching anything, waiting to write your next tweet and let everybody know what a great movie critic you are, there's no way you're going to like it. Right. The problem is we have such and again, I probably sound like an old guy at this point, but like we have so much entertainment coming at us that nothing doesn't hold the value that it used to. You guys remember growing up when you went to the movies, it was like an event. It was like something that was special. It was something different than the reruns you were watching on TV because they were, especially during the summer, there was nothing new coming out.
Yeah.
So, but look at us now. The same day that within the same week, we had Stranger Things, Obi-Wan, Miss Marvel, plus whatever was, Maverick was still in the theaters, Jurassic World, Thor's coming out in a cut. Like it,
so much. Yeah.
It's so much that could you imagine go back to 1993 and Obi-Wan comes out?
Yeah.
Everybody would be losing their mind. There wouldn't be, it would just be like, yo, more Star Wars. It's so amazing. Like it's so, but the world we live in now, especially if you're on Twitter, I feel like most people just watch stuff to write that next tweet. And I feel like people have a hard time enjoying anything because there's nothing that's that special about it. Right. Like I've mentioned Maverick. Go see Maverick if you can in theaters. Like you will not regret watching that movie. That movie I left going, man, I wish more movies made me feel this way when I left them. Like Jurassic World was fine. There was dinosaurs. It was corny. Like there was all these like 80s
they
tropes.
They also brought back the classic cast as well, right?
They did, yeah. So like you know what you're getting when you go into it. Like if you're expecting a masterpiece, why are you going to see the 6th movie in this series that after the first, none of them have been very good? I mean, you'd think you would know by now, right? It's like watching all the Transformers movies. None of them were that great, but you get to see robots fighting on the screen. That's freaking cool. We get to see lightsabers. Like, so, I mean, not to take away from people that are like, yo, I really just enjoy critiquing stuff and whatever, but like, I don't know.
It almost doesn't feel like critiquing though. It just feels like cynicism. Like it feels like it's not criticism. It's just cynicism.
Think about the evolution of all this back in 77 or whatever. It was critics, like professional movie critics that called that didn't like Star Wars, but the fans did. And then think about it in 99 through, what was that? 99 through 06, 05? What? I don't even know what year 3 came out. But that was the age of what? A little bit of Facebook for college kids only and MySpace. Like you weren't.
Facebook started feeding the starved for attention in 2006.
Okay. So it was still MySpace at that point. We were putting it on MySpace. About what you
talk,
thought.
Would I have been in your top 8?
Probably at
you
this point, yeah.
Just to see those guns.
What music was playing on your page at that point?
Oh, I think I was in ministry then, so it was probably something like Third Day or
it's
something.
Death metal, man.
Yeah, maybe Blindside.
but it was more probably internet chat rooms and stuff that wasn't as viral or as attention seeking as it is now. And now it's Twitter posts and everything like that, and it's just gotten more toxic as we've evolved throughout the like all this stuff coming out. And so it's the wow factor that people are trying to go for and going viral, not necessarily for the good reasons, but they're just trying to be toxic in the way they know how, that the internet has taught them to be.
It's the echo chamber. If they say something that they can get a few people on their side, they feel like they've done their daily internet duty or what I mean, I don't know. I don't know why it's so hard to just enjoy things. Like entertainment. I said this on the Xbox Factor podcast today. Like everybody wants to like harp so much on it's entertainment. It's a luxury. Like, you know how lucky we are to be able to sit here with the gear that we have and talk about a TV show that we enjoy that brings us entertainment. Like, I don't know, like to sit and just shit on it. I don't see the, like, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hate the sequel trilogy. Like,
let's just put that out there.
Like I will say that, like, I did not find any enjoyment in that, but for the most part, I could still, even during those movies, when I left the second one, I tweeted, yeah, maybe this is a Star Wars for the next generation. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's what it is. Look at Ewan McGregor talking recently in this press junket that he's had with Obi-Wan, having people 20 years later come up and say, you were my Star Wars, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I love those movies. Like you said, they got shit on back in the day. Like people didn't like Jar Jar Binks. I think I saw something recently that said Lucas like pivoted away from Jar Jar a little bit because of the backlash he got. Yeah. So like maybe we could have had Darth Jar Jar. I don't know. Like, but I mean, he pivoted away because of the backlash that they got. But I think the last 15 minutes of that movie are some of the best Star Wars moments in the prequel. Like the Duel of the Fates is
amazing.
Yeah. It's cut in with some of the corny this is pod racing. Yeah. But if you cut just Duel of Fates together, it's amazing.
Yeah. That's good.
Well,
man.
And that being said, I mean, Mule, you've got kids that are relatively young. What do they say about now yours don't really count because you've raised them on the other ones, right? But
I was gonna say they're like little lore legends, dude. They know more lore than I do sometimes. But I will say what they gravitate the most to, that I see them watch the most, is Clone Wars and Rebels. Like they watch those all the time. And then they do like the prequels and the original trilogy. I think they may like the prequels slightly more than the original trilogy, maybe, but they really do like Empire and Return of the Jedi. But the sequels, like when I asked him, I was like, hey, do you like them? You know, and I try to do the, like, I don't want to implant any of my thoughts in your head, you know?
Right.
Just tell me what you like and you don't like. And I kid you not, my oldest will just say, I don't like them. I'm like, why? He's like, I think Rey's dumb. I'm like, okay, well, why? He's like, I don't know. I just didn't like her. And I'm like, okay, you know, like, and so I think it really depends on the people or the kid. Like some people, it really registers with them. Cause like I was talking to a guy that does like, I can't remember the name of their business. I think it's like BAM something. But anyways, it was like a really cool conversation. He was going to meet like Mike Tyson and do some NFT stuff with Mike Tyson and things like that. And he owns like a really cool studio, does all these podcasts here in the Austin area. But he was talking about how his oldest daughter absolutely loves the sequels because she is adopted and she's not young enough to know the story with Luke and how he was kind of adopted. And so she really registered with Rey. And so Rey was like the thing for her, right? And so I get it. Like I get like there's Star Wars for every generation. But it's and kind of to circle back, I feel like it's almost this like cynicism where people are just looking for problems and rather than enjoying the story and then talking about issues like later on. Like, oh yeah, they just like we'll talk about it here in a second with episode 4 of Kenobi. There's things in it that I'm just like, this is like Jedi Fallen Order, you know. But we'll talk about it in a little bit because there's one other thing. There's one other thing that Crawler brought to our attention before the podcast here. Why did Disney Star Wars Hotel flop? I mean, I don't think it takes a genius to really know why. It's too freaking expensive, dude.
Yeah, $6,000 for 2 people, right? Isn't that what it is? Something like that.
Yeah.
Sell more death sticks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool idea, and I think they had a lot of people excited about it. But after this initial wave of people that signed up and wanted to go, and then alcohol's not included with that price. You do get some
Blue
preferential. Milk? I think there's some blue milk that's maybe included.
$6,000.
Yeah, $6,000. You do get preferential like fast pass stuff on Batu when you go there for the day on like the day 2 or whatever that you go.
Yeah.
So you get to kind of experience the rides and some other stuff. And there's some cast member interactions, I think, that you have while you're there because you're wearing a pin that says you're from the ship or whatever. But it's just too expensive. Like I mean, I have a family of 5. I don't even think a room accommodates 5. So it's like, what are you doing? You getting rid of one kid when you go? And
I don't think this was meant for kids.
I don't think it was either. Like,
I raised my eyebrows on that tiny screen, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
In a seductive fashion.
See it.
Just like that.
This is funny though. It's like now some guests had previously stayed, completed a survey, so they're basically paying more money to figure out why it bombed, and everyone's pretty much saying it's just too expensive.
Well, and I don't think like people that went, I don't think they probably necessarily had a bad experience, and the experience is probably fine, but it's a large barrier to entry.
You mean the influencers that were paid to go?
Yeah. There's
exactly.
There's a handful. This is only in Florida, right? Is it only at the Florida park right now?
It says Disney World.
Yeah, it's Florida.
Yeah,
so
Florida.
Nate says you were conceived at a Star Wars hotel with a lightsaber.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Now I kind of want a Star Wars Clue game. Like you were killed in Tashi Station with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
With a power converter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of funny. We had to chat about that for a little bit. So Kenobi.
Wait, I have a random Star Wars fact for us.
Let's hear it. Hold on.
Trying to get back on brand here and
Josh.
Bring the random Star Wars facts. Mr. Samuel L. Jackson, while doing an interview on BBC, on BBC's The Graham Norton Show, insisted that he still owned the purple lightsaber that his character Mace Windu used in some pretty epic battles in Star Wars prequels. But the most shocking revelation, but wait, there's more. What Jackson claimed was engraved on his lightsaber, which is not suitable for young children.
Say what again?
He's got BMF engraved on there. I think he said the prop masters like engraved it for him as he left the set.
There you go. So there's your random Star Wars fact. One little quick one. The TIE fighter is just a sound. The sound came from an elephant. So there you go.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. I knew the blaster bolts.
Blasters are like a wrench being tapped on a guide wire.
Yeah. That's like crazy, dude.
Yep.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, super cool stuff. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Love
On
it, Josh.
Mace Windu's lightsaber, you will
I've
see.
seen some people's like custom lightsaber collections that they get off like all these different saber shops. I've seen some Mace Windu ones that people have, and some of them actually do have BMF engraved on there.
I love it.
it.
Jinx. No one's gonna
Guys.
know who said it. Was it me or Mule?
I know, dude. Josh and I, we're on a couple of podcasts together, and my wife, when she listens to them, she says she can't tell us apart with just the voice. So we're gonna have to play a prank on her.
We are gonna prank her for TikTok. It's gonna be glorious.
Yeah. Kenobi, guys, episode 4. Let's just start from the top. What do you think from top to bottom?
Spoilers
New
now.
Hope, it's the New Hope episode
now, right?
Have you guys seen this whole thing with the whole episodes mirroring the 6 original movies?
I didn't see it, but I picked up on it myself. I was like, "Oh, this is very much all
because we had
the first 4 movies.
Yeah, rescuing the princess on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Last episode we had Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting and fire.
Yep.
And then previously we had I'd have to go back and think about what was in episodes 2 and 1, but there are similarities in each of the episodes as you go through. So I think tonight we're gonna see Qui-Gon potentially, because Force ghosts appear in Empire.
That's true.
Possibly.
I mean, there's only 2 episodes left, right? So,
well, I mean, have you guys heard the rumors that people are maybe asking for more? Like,
all right,
are we gonna wrap this up in 2 more episodes? Like, we haven't really established much, have we?
You ready for this insider info? I have insider info. Okay. I have a friend.
Zoom in on yourself. We need to see your glorious face for this.
I have a friend.
Finally,
that has insider information. And the insider information is we will get a Kenobi season 2. So there it is.
Kenobi.
So like, I think, I can't remember how he worded it, but there is like, oh my gosh, Josh. Just totally derailed me.
Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2.
That needs to be a shirt. Josh derailed us.
I hate sand. There's like a thing, like when anytime you're nominated for like an Oscar or whatever,
that wasn't me.
Yeah, you have to put in like whether you're just a one-off, like one-off series, or if you're going to have multiple seasons. And originally, Moon Knight and a couple others were put in as just a one-off, right? But now they've changed that to say there's going to be more than one. So it's been kind of insider info and been kind of confirmed that, yeah, this is probably not the end of Kenobi. And I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves because I want to talk about what we'll see in 5, but circling to 4, man, I love the episode because it finally felt like that interaction and that fight he had with Vader kind of snapped him out of his PTSD and put him back into like, I'm a Jedi, I protect people mode, because you see like the Force reconnecting with him. He does the whole like New Hope with the mind trick, and things like
the
that.
noise. Yeah.
So that was like really, really cool. And then, busting out the glass when he uses the Force to push it out and have the water flood the compartment. Like, and just like, did y'all love that? Like,
are you saying he's kind of a gray Jedi at this point?
No, but Josh is just pushing my buttons tonight. Get off the podcast. You're done. But no, did you guys like the Starkiller reference that was in the show? How they did that? Did you guys catch that?
Where was that?
So in The Force Unleashed 2, there's a really cool cinematic where Vader comes and like saying, "Hey, we're going to kill you," and then leaves, and he's in chains, and he kind of grabs the chains and it goes dark and he like frees himself from the chains and like ignites his lightsaber and cuts through stormtroopers, kind of like just exactly like Obi-Wan did. And so
that was a callback to Ahsoka, right? Didn't Ahsoka do that?
That was originally from Force Unleashed 2, like almost identical to how they did it. And it was just so freaking cool, man, to see that they kind of brought that in there. you know, and all of that stuff. But like, I really like that. Like, I thought that was cool. But the whole thing with like episode 4 was like, I felt like it was just like, you got to bring in Cal Kestis, man. Cause it just feels exactly like Jedi Fallen Order. Like he would have been perfect to bring in and help, like, oh, I know how to get through there. I know how this, cause I confronted Vader as well. And it was not pretty, you know? But here's a question we have in chat here. It says, I think the fire scene didn't make sense though. I think he's referring to
episode 3.
Episode 3, yeah. Which I kind of talked about a little bit. I don't know if you guys want to share your thoughts, but I can circle back to that question there in a second. But what did y'all think of episode 4?
I think it opens a big kind of a lot of what ifs with the Jedi tomb in the fortress there. Terrace Nube is there, which is, I think, the saddest one of all of us. Well, that and the youngling, I think.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of characters that I didn't recognize. There was one that I thought we saw got shot by Jango Fett in Geonosis. It looked similar. I don't know what his name was. But in the wide shot, as the doors opened, I thought there was somebody on the right-hand side that looked like one of the Jedi that gets shot by Jango and just falls in Geonosis. But it could have just been same race of alien. But then I haven't seen a lot of breakdowns on who everybody else is. I think was there a like the council of elders that Palpatine meets with in episode 6? Was there one of those dudes frozen?
It was similar costume, but most of what I saw said it wasn't the same guy. So, but it is really curious. What is he doing basically with all of those like corpses? Is it kind of like a Rebels thing? How they use
Trophies.
it to lure Jedi in?
Well, they're also like frozen in like the sap from Jurassic Park as well.
Yeah.
So.
Hello, John.
I mean, could they be used for Snoke? Is that maybe why they're
I think I did see something online of somebody theorizing about that, and that's why Grogu is so valuable in The Mandalorian, is because the Inquisitor fortress is destroyed eventually, I'm assuming, or that whole collection of people, Force sensitives, is lost, so that's why Grogu's blood or DNA or whatever is so valuable.
Yeah,
but maybe that is what they're using for Snoke, or potential. I don't know. I think it could open a whole window of something different.
Yeah,
for us to find out about.
Josh,
I thought it was a fun episode. I had seen tweets from a few different people saying it felt like a filler episode, and I was just like, oh no, right? But then I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna let a few tweets like. I'm just gonna go into this with but it was the one that really made me go, yo, are all these like kind of episode 1, episode 2, episode 3? This felt very New Hope. They're in Imperial gear. They're they're sneaking around. They're getting Leia. I'm just like, this seems awfully familiar. You know. Yeah. But yeah, and I mean, it was cool seeing, Obi-Wan kind of come to life. I think that line was pretty iconic where she's like, you've betrayed what you are, and I can't remember the exact, like, I've seen like Disney put it out on their Instagram or whatever, and she's like, this is never who I was, or whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I just there was some, I don't know, there was some cool dialogue there, and just I mean, Vader, my God, when he walks in and just rips her off the ground with the Force,
dude. Yes. like, geez, man. He's just like just straight up in there, you know?
Yeah. So yeah. Lots of cool stuff. When it comes to me in Star Wars, I'm all about lightsabers. So the more I see lightsabers, the happier I am. Yeah. But, the one time we saw Obi-Wan with his lightsaber, he was like using it as a walker or whatever he was doing. So not really, not really.
He took out a few stormtroopers with deflected blaster bolts.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
and then cracked
looks,
a window.
Oh, I'm
There-
sorry. I was talking episode 3. Episode
Oh,
4,
okay.
it got a little bit better, where it was like, yeah, he's looking a little more like Obi-Wan from the. But what's going to be really curious, what I'm curious about is like, he's been a hermit, he breaks out of it, then he's going back to hermit mode potentially. I'm just curious on how they're going to do this arc. You know,
He's got to land. He's in a cave right now, so he's got to land in his hut at some point.
Yeah.
And become a little more established, a little more permanent than what he is. I don't know. We're not on Tatooine. I thought we were going to be on Tatooine a lot more than we are in this whole series. I really did. We were only on Tatooine, what, the first 2 episodes?
Yeah. Yeah, he leaves the second episode. I think too there's like a dichotomy there where like the Obi-Wan we see in Rebels is definitely a Jedi master, right? With a lot more hope, especially with this confrontation with Maul. And so I think they're building him up to that kind of pinnacle of where he'll be once he sees Luke and, does the whole thing with Luke, because he seems definitely more hopeful, but also remorseful about like, before the dark times, before the Empire, that kind of stuff. So I think they're building him up to that where it's kind of snapping him out of that. I saw some really cool stuff that showed the symbolism of, he's back. There's a little twirl that he does with his lightsaber after every hit or battle. And you see him do it in episode 1. You see him do it in episode 2. You see him do it in episode 3. And he does the same twirl. So it's like, oh yeah, that's the Obi-Wan that fought in the Clone Wars. He's kind of back now. He's kind of snapping out of it. He's really getting into it. But like the only hang up I had, man, was this. It felt a lot like Jedi Fallen Order. And I get that probably there's a lot of people that never played that game, but I was thinking, the timeline fits. Why not introduce Kyle Kestis into live action? Like, I think he could be the next evolution of Star Wars, right? Because he's gonna keep living on. Like, he doesn't get killed, or at least that we know so far. I mean, Jedi Fallen Order 2 is coming out, Jedi Survivor. But I think he's like the next thing, like between when we get Ahsoka and Ezra and Thrawn and things like that. So I would really like to see him make his debut in live action. I don't think we're going to see it now. I think that was like the perfect opportunity. But I'm really curious what they're going to do in 5. Like, I felt like this was a big buildup for something. So now it's like, I'm hoping it's not like The Mandalorian where before the finale, there's like a lull and then it builds up to the finale again. I kind of feel like that's probably what we're going to get in tomorrow's episode, where it's going to be a little more like build up and then you're going to get the finale. And so I'm hoping it doesn't feel like a filler episode or a build up episode. I hope they actually put a lot into it, maybe give us more Vader. Because there is some things to kind of go back to this question. There are some things that are a little weird, right? Like Vader in the fire scene in episode 3. Like, why didn't Vader just go and just walk through the fire? Because you see him in the comics walk through lava. My answer to that is I think he's just wanting to cause as much pain and suffering as he can to Obi-Wan, and he wants to drag it out as much as he can and just try as much as he can. And he also thought he was just jacked up, like he's not getting away, So
he thought he was alone. He didn't think that.
Yeah. And I see a lot of stuff too. Like, where's Vader this whole time? Like, why is he always coming in at the end? And I think what a lot of fans have to remember is that Vader doesn't get to just do what he wants to do. Like, Palpatine tells him what he has to do. And in the comics, when he doesn't follow orders, he gets pretty jacked up by Palpatine or gets set up to basically go on suicide missions, and like ferreting out Crimson Dawn and things like that, or getting a new lightsaber right after he became Darth Vader. When he's like in a brand new suit that he doesn't know how to use. So he wants to kill Kenobi, but I think the thought is, I think Palpatine's like, look, dude, the Jedi are done. They're just scragglers. Like, it's beneath you as a Sith to go and get Obi-Wan. Like, you got other more important things to focus on right now. And so that's kind of where I think he's getting
and that's why he
pulled.
has the Inquisitors to go.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's like beneath him. Just get these underlings and have them go hunt themselves, and then you just
and they all squabble amongst themselves as well.
Yeah, you ferret them out. That's kind of my thoughts. But what do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen in this next episode?
Backtracking just a little bit, do you think there's any chance that his hesitation was in like
a conflict,
a little bit of conflict?
At that point, I don't think so. I don't know if he has I guess there's always a shred of it there because Luke senses it, but I don't know. I think he was out to prove that he didn't have any doubt in that conflict because he was just snapping necks, walking down the street and doing whatever.
But what I'm curious about is seeing Obi-Wan with the fire. If the conflict started, like seeing Obi-Wan
in pain
and not even necessarily in pain, but just seeing Obi-Wan, because remember they had a history being friends.
They're brothers, yeah,
right. Up until he became a Sith, and so either way, I don't mind that it's there because look at how we're talking about it and trying to decipher what might have been there, right? Like
time wise, is this before or after he went to Padme's tomb? Do you know?
So I'm trying to remember the new Darth Vader comic. He goes to find Padme. I think this is all beforehand. Because that's much later on, like when he's really close to finding Luke and things like that as well. So he's really tracking down like who is this kid, and so I'm pretty sure
in retrospect they didn't hide Luke that well. They gave him his same last name and hit him with his uncle. Like,
well, Skywalker's a common name. It's like Smith, I think, in Star Wars. So at least what I've been told is Skywalker is a very common name in Star Wars. So this is interesting. Servant says, I think episode 5 almost has to be a let up episode to build to that finale. You can't keep the crescendo that long and it not lose the full impact. Yeah, I think.
Well, if you think about Empire, because it's going to probably mirror episodically with themes that are in that movie. Empire is a lot of
Obi-Wan's losing a hand.
Maybe Anakin loses a hand again or something like that.
Yeah,
I
wonder.
He has limbs to spare.
Exactly.
But the fact that I feel like we're gonna see the T-47s in action more so because we saw it at the end of episode 4. So there's going to be maybe some kind of assault on because Talia gave up the location of their base, right?
Yep.
So there's going to be an assault on the Paz hidden base. So maybe the T-47s will come into play, and maybe we'll see walkers. Is that possible? I don't know. But like,
Don't
there's
tease me, Crawler.
There's also learning from a more experienced master. So I think, and Ben appears as a Force ghost for the first time. I think we'll see Qui-Gon as a Force ghost and maybe more dialogue back and forth there for education and for history. Like, I feel like you learned a lot from Luke's time on Dagobah. You learned about what the Jedi were and kind of the light and dark and that balance of the Force and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of it, as a kid, like, it was not my favorite episode because it was just a lot of history and dialogue and it wasn't a lot of action. They tried to mix it up with Luke flipping through the jungle and all that kind of stuff. But there's also betrayal in Empire as well. So maybe we'll see. I don't know who's out to betray who. I don't know.
Betraying Darth Vader.
Maybe, or trying to, or fighting amongst herself.
Yeah.
I hope we just get to see the Inquisitor come back. Honestly,
it's got to be.
Inquisitor.
I mean, yeah.
I also saw you reminded me, you jogged my memory. Crawler, when you talked about them being tracked, I saw someone talk about how that's a really good callback to New Hope when they escaped the Death Star. Yep. And Leia's like, no, we don't get away that easy. They let us go. They're tracking us, you know? Yeah. And I think
I have the exact same thought.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's because she learned, you know, like she knows the Empire doesn't just let go of things really easily. So,
yeah. I almost guarantee the conversation with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan is going to be like, yo, your past doesn't define you. Like let go. You only fail if you quit, blah, blah, blah. And remember, kids, don't do drugs. And then,
yeah.
And
I know you. I will find you, and I will. Kill you.
If they had still had Leia, I figured that's what we were going to see for sure. Like a phone call from Qui-Gon to Darth, like I will find you and I will kill you.
Yeah.
But no, I have a feeling it's going to be a maybe somewhat of a reawakening of Obi-Wan episode, even more like less with the physical aspects of the Jedi and more of the internal.
Yeah,
you know. And who knows? Maybe I don't know. Does he teach a little bit to Leia? You know, like
I don't know. I think that like I don't know. I don't think.
I mean, Reva mentioned that she was strong when she was trying to read her mind a little bit.
Yeah.
So she's got to let on a little bit that to Leia.
Yeah. We shall see. We shall see.
But the other thing I'm wondering too is like how many of these Inquisitors are going to survive in the next 2 episodes, right? Like,
I mean, Fifth Brother survives, but I mean, Reva's going to have to be gone at the like. But we still haven't explored that arc. If she was like, she has to be one of those younglings in the very beginning. But there's got to be a callback to that. It's. Who knows how long these next 2 episodes are? Like these episodes have been a little bit shorter than I've been anticipating.
Yeah, same.
So these next 2 have to be over an hour each, I would think.
Yeah,
because there's so much left to kind of flesh out.
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some type of flashback with Reva. There has to be to like flesh out why she hates Obi-Wan so much. You know, it's got.
I just got to the part where he's going to drown the stormtroopers. Hang on a sec.
Oh, good. Hey. You know what's funny? I had friends at work and other friends that were telling me like, "Hey, sorry to hear that you died." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, at the end of Star Wars because my first name is Wade, and Wade's flying away and gets killed by Reva." So I was like, "Oh, I guess I died in Star Wars. That's cool." So I was like, "Hey, I'll take it." Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So all right, guys, give me scale 1 to 10. What'd you think of episode 4?
8.
Yeah, I'll go 8, 8.5, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty solid 8, 8.5. Like, there's nothing that's put me over the moon. Like the fire scene in episode 3 was like a solid 9 for me, but I think so far it's like the whole show has been about like an 8.5 right in there. You know, I can't put it too much higher than that, but. Well, cool. Any closing thoughts, guys?
We got 2 more weeks of this, or I mean, week and a day, because it'll be over here soon before we know it.
Yeah, it'll man, it's going by fast. But then we got Andor, we got Bad Batch. There's going to be plenty of Star Wars to talk about. So pretty.
And Miss Marvel's great. If you haven't watched that first episode, I don't know when the next one drops. If it's tonight or Friday, but. Miss Marvel's great as well. There's lots of great stuff to watch.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. We do this right now. We're doing it like every Tuesday because there's so much Star Wars to talk about. But we appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure you check out all the info in the description below. Great ways to support the podcast and all these cool cats on the podcast with us. But guys, remember.
The Force will be with you. Always.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, Master.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with us all.